I recently saw some discussion online about the potential for nuclear testing by the United States as a form of deterrence. Deterrence is simply the use of military or economic threats to prevent a country from taking an action, usually involving military force. It's successful, of course, when the threatened country refrains from doing whatever it was that offended the country that decides to use it. The leaders of the target country have to reason, are they likely to do this? And what kind of damage would they do should they actually attack? The challenge of successful deterrence involves making sure that the target country's primary decision makers really understand that the threat is a realistic one and have some idea of what kind of damage they could take. When threats are delivered to authoritarian regimes, this can be kind of challenging. The primary decision makers can be isolated from folks that are actually going to tell them the truth. While deterrence makes logical sense, historical examples of its success are often recalled in a simplified and favorable light. In reality, sorting out whether or not the target leaders were actually deterred can be difficult. Many folks cite the Cuban Missile Crisis as an example of successful deterrence. The actual events and documents from both parties and leaders reveal a much more confusing and, frankly, far more dangerous situation. Check out Ellison's book, The Essence of Decision. The big test, and this is a lengthy multi-decade test, is the fact that the United States and the USSR never did engage in a direct conflict, nor did they engage in a nuclear war. We can give the deterrence folks that one. But North Vietnam was not deterred. The Russians were not deterred from invading Afghanistan. Iraq was not deterred by Saudi Arabia in Kuwait. And the RSF forces in Sudan have not been deterred. One can really do a deep dive into all these different parsed models of deterrence. The strength of a theory is based on its simplicity and its applicability and its proof through real-world cases. Given that it only works sometimes and mostly appears to fail, we must conclude that perhaps the only equation where folks have determined that the probability of high costs outweigh the potential gains is with the use of nuclear weapons. Thank God it has worked for that scenario for the time being.